10 years after my sister stole my millionaire fiancé, an incredible revelation changed everything. Claire stood beneath the graying sky, her heart pounding like the distant thunder that rolled across the small Midwestern town. 10 years. 10 years since her sister Lauren had waltzed into her life and swept away Jason, the charming fiancé who had promised her the world. The betrayal had cut deep, leaving scars that felt as raw today as they had that fateful summer morning. But Claire was a nurse now, a healer, piecing her life back together in the gentle ebb and flow of a community that had come to rely on her. Every morning she donned her scrubs with resolve, knowing that while her dreams of love may be shattered, her commitment to her patients was unwavering. As summer rains began to swell the nearby river, anticipation mixed with anxiety. The town's annual fundraiser was just days away, and Claire had taken it upon herself to bring everyone together. Her heart ached with the weight of the memories of laughter and shared secrets with Lauren, overshadowed by the bitterness of betrayal. But she couldn't let that stop her. She wanted to create something beautiful for the community, a spark that might ignite connections once more. The flyer she drafted promised a night of togetherness, food and fun, but dark clouds loomed in her heart, overshadowing her efforts. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As Claire prepared to launch her community-wide rescue efforts, the floodwaters surged violently, swallowing buildings and washing debris away in a frenzied rush. Panic erupted, and as neighbors shouted for help, Claire's instincts kicked in. Her heart raced, but she stood firm. Amid the chaos, her strength became a beacon of hope. Mobilizing neighbors became second nature as she organized sandbagging teams and coordinated rescue efforts. The pain from Jason's betrayal flickered in the background, but it faded under the demands of the moment. Yet, just when she felt like she was regaining control, Lauren reappeared. Gone was the carefree sister Claire had known. Instead, there stood a woman weathered by time, seeking forgiveness. "I've changed," Lauren pleaded, her eyes glistening with tears. The town watched closely, whispering their judgments as Claire's heart surged with a mix of fear and familiarity, stirring up childhood memories intertwined with laughter and heartache as Claire wrestled with the weight of family loyalty against her hard-won independence. A shocking revelation about Jason surfaced at the fundraiser. The man she'd once idolized was not the millionaire she imagined, but a man burdened by loss, shaped by regrets. Their conversation led to a whirlwind of emotions, pulling Claire back into a storm she had thought she had weathered. Could she forgive him? Could she forgive Lauren? With those unresolved feelings swirling, Claire found herself at a crossroads. The waters of the river receded, but the tides of her heart surged. Would she find the strength to redefine love and family beyond betrayal? Or would she forever be anchored in a sea of resentment? As she stood amidst her community, preparing for the days of heartache and healing ahead, Claire realized the ultimate question loomed. How could she embrace the truth? Claire's heart raced as she confronted Lauren's tear-stained face. It wasn't just grief she saw. It was a yearning for reconciliation. Every word Lauren spoke, wrapped in a fragile vulnerability, stirred conflicting emotions within Claire. Her sister's voice cracked as she continued, "I messed everything up and I know it. But I'm not the same person anymore. I need you to believe that." The tension between them thickened. Claire's mind churned with memories, happy childhood moments, silly fights over shared clothes, and laughter echoing through their family home. Those memories became bittersweet, overshadowed by the betrayal that had ripped their lives apart. But standing here now, she couldn't shake the feeling that perhaps time had indeed altered Lauren. Maybe they could start anew. "If you've changed, why now?" Claire managed to ask, struggling to maintain her composure. "Why come back when everything has already fallen apart?" Lauren paused, her breath hitching. "Because I realized what I lost. I thought I could take Jason from you and fill the void with something exciting. But all I did was destroy our family." The words hung in the air, heavy and unresolved. Claire wanted to scream, to tell her sister that she had destroyed more than just a family. She had shattered Claire's trust and left her stranded in an emotional wasteland. But as she looked into those familiar eyes, she felt the flicker of hope that perhaps there could still be a way forward. At that moment, the thunder rolled in the distance and the heavens opened, pouring down a cleansing rain that echoed the turmoil in her heart. Claire sighed out loud, the weight of the world pressing down. She stood in the midst of the chaos outside, but at that moment, it felt much like standing at the edge of a precipice. The decision before her held the potential for either healing or deeper heartbreak. "Let us talk," Claire said finally, her voice shaking slightly from the charged emotions. "But we need to do this away from prying eyes." They found a quiet spot behind the community center, sheltered from the rain but still feeling the spray in the air. The sounds of celebration washed over the grounds in the background, a distant reminder of normalcy that felt almost foreign. "Claire, I know it's big," Lauren began, looking down at her own hands nervously. "I've sacrificed too much just for a fleeting moment. I want to make amends, but I understand if you can't forgive, or if you don't want me around anymore." A silence stretched between them, a chasm filled with years of hurt. Claire's heart ached as she considered her sister's words. The truth was, she didn't know if she could forgive Lauren, or even Jason for what they had done. But perhaps there was a way to change her perspective. Maybe forgiveness didn't mean absolution. Perhaps it was a way to free her own heart from the shackles of anger. The rain became a steady backdrop to their conversation as Claire finally spoke. "What if I can't forgive right now? What if it takes time?" A tentative smile broke through Lauren's anxious expression. "I can wait. I just want you to know I'm here whenever you're ready." As they stood there, facing each other with raw honesty, Claire felt something shift within her. The road ahead would be rocky, but maybe it was one they could walk together. Yet, as she grappled with this fragile hope, a hush fell over the nearby crowd. Claire turned instinctively toward the commotion, and there at the very edge of the fundraiser, stood Jason, looking lost and uncertain. The air thickened with unspoken questions as their eyes met, and Claire knew in that instant that unresolved wounds were about to be ripped wide open once more. What did he want now? And more importantly, how would she respond? Claire's breath caught in her throat as she locked eyes with Jason. The world around her dimmed, the sounds of laughter and music fading into a muffled backdrop. She felt Lauren's presence shift beside her, the tension palpable as both sisters faced the man who had been at the center of their turmoil. "What are you doing here?" Claire managed to ask, her voice steady despite the storm of emotions inside her. She forced the words out, but they felt heavy on her tongue, filled with years of longing, hurt, and confusion. Jason took a step closer, his hands stuffed in his pockets, his expression a blend of regret and determination. I came to find you. I knew you'd be here." His gaze flickered to Lauren, and for a split second, Claire saw the shadow of their shared past dance across his face. "That's great," Claire shot back, her voice laced with sarcasm, anger surfacing like a tide. "What do you want, Jason? To tell me how sorry you are? How you made a mistake?" "I didn't come to make excuses," he said, his voice firm but softening as he continued. "I just want to talk. Like this. Whatever we had, it needs to be laid to rest." The statement hung in the air, haunting and confusing. Claire swallowed hard, her heart racing. Did she want closure? Or did she just want to scream at him for what he had done? All her instincts told her to back away, to preserve the fragile progress she had begun to make with Lauren, but the restless corners of her heart yearned for answers. Claire exchanged a glance with Lauren, who stood frozen, a mix of anxiety and concern etched on her face. Something in her sister's eyes begged her for a chance. "Maybe we should give him a moment," Lauren whispered softly, the vulnerability in her voice a reminder of what they were trying to rebuild. Before Claire could respond, Jason took a tentative step forward, extending a hand toward her. "Please just give me a chance to explain. I didn't realize how much I cared until it was too late. I messed everything up. I've been trying to figure out how to move on, but I can't without talking to you." "Moving on?" Claire spat, her anger bubbling over. "Is that what you call it? You broke us, Jason. You made your choice and now you want to chat?" Jason's eyes mirrored the pain in her heart. "I didn't choose to hurt you. I thought I could handle everything, but things got out of hand. I never wanted to be the villain of your story." His words felt like a slap, jolting her closer to the truth she had been avoiding. As she stared into his pleading gaze, the dampness of the rain on her skin began to numb the fiery grief inside her. Did he really view himself as a villain? Or was this just another manipulation? Jason, I don't know if I can forgive you. I'm just trying to get through this without falling apart. Claire finally admitted, her voice breaking. The wall she had built around her heart threatened to crumble, as she felt the weight of everything she had lost. I understand, he replied, his voice softer now, sincere. But I owe it to you to try. Behind them, the festival continued with a life of its own. Yet for Claire, the world had narrowed to just the three of them. As memories swirled in her mind and emotions danced chaotically in her chest, she realized that every path forward had its own price, and that moment of uncertainty, she felt the gentle squeeze of Lauren's hand beside hers. A small gesture, but one that offered warmth. It reminded Claire that she wasn't alone in this, a reality that had felt so starkly different only moments before. But just as she found her footing again, more shouts erupted from the crowd. Claire turned, her heart racing once more, as a familiar face pushed through the throng. It was their mother, her eyes wild with urgency. Claire, you need to see this, she called out, her voice cutting through the tension like a knife. A new wave of chaos was about to crash down around them, and Claire couldn't shake the thought, was this fate trying to steer her towards a resolution, or was it only pulling her deeper into the storm? Claire's heart pounded louder than the music pulsating from the festival grounds. Her mother's wild eyes and frantic gestures told her this was no ordinary interruption. She could feel the weight of Jason's presence behind her, blending into her past, the past she had been struggling to reconcile. Mom, what is it? Claire called, her voice laced with fear and confusion. Their mother hurried closer, sweat glistening on her brow despite the cool night air. There's something going on. I overheard some people talking. It's about Jason. Jason's face flushed pale. The regret from moments before now mingled with a newfound anxiety. What do you mean? He asked, his voice just above a whisper, seeming to sense the tension. Their mother glanced nervously between her daughters. They were saying there's a reason he's back. Something to do with the business. Claire's brows knitted together. What about the business? It's complicated. Just Claire, you should hear it for yourself. Come with me. Her mother gripped her arm tightly as she turned, leading her through the crowd. Lauren followed closely, glancing back at Jason, who looked completely lost as they navigated through throngs of festival goers. Claire's mind raced. She thought about everything that had unfolded between her and Jason, and now the possibility of something more sinister lurking beneath the surface. They found a quieter spot behind a booth, the chatter of the festival muted. Claire's mother took a deep breath, her eyes darting around before settling on Claire. Urgency etched into her features. Listen, I overheard two of Jason's business partners. They were worried about something, a deal gone wrong. Apparently, someone has been using his name without his knowledge. What do you mean? Claire asked, her stomach twisting. They mentioned secret contracts, some kind of fraud. They were worried his reputation is at stake, their mother said, her voice trembling. And they said he might not be safe. Jason ran a hand through his hair, his face pale. I didn't know, he muttered, wrestling with the reality of his situation. Claire felt a mix of emotions surge through her. So many years had been spent in anger and betrayal. Yet, the idea that he could still be in danger tugged at her heart. Was this why he'd come back? To pull her into a problem he had created? Mom, what does this mean for him? Lauren asked, trying to bridge the chaos with clarity. Their mother hesitated. It means he might need help. If his name is being dragged through mud again, someone could take advantage of that. Jason stepped forward, desperate. I need to know who is behind this. If my name is being used, I have to fix this before it spirals out of control. His eyes locked onto Claire's. Please, I need your help. Claire's head spun. The anger that had filled her earlier was giving way to a strange urge to protect. But should she stay angry, or should she step back into the chaos for the man who had hurt her so deeply? As she stood there, frozen between her past and potential danger, the festival sounds roared back, competing with her swirling thoughts. The stakes had suddenly heightened, and now a choice lay before her. Would she risk further entanglement with Jason to help him, or turn away and let him face the storm alone? A loud commotion erupted from the main stage, drawing everyone's attention. Claire held her breath, knowing she was standing on the edge of a choice that could change everything again. With her heart racing, she turned to Jason. What are you planning to do? And in that moment, Claire realized that whatever happened next could unravel all that she thought she understood about love, forgiveness, and her own future. Jason's eyes were wild, filled with an energy Claire had not seen in years. I can't just stand here. I have to find out who's behind this. I need proof, he said, determination sparking in his voice. But where do we even start? Claire replied, the knot of anxiety tightening in her stomach. This was the last thing she wanted to be involved in. Yet the thought of leaving him to face this alone gnawed at her. Together, he pleaded, his eyes searching hers. We can figure this out together. We can't let whoever is doing this get away with it. The festival noise faded around them, drowning in the rush of her thoughts. Could she really dig into this mess with Jason? This was the man who had shattered her heart. Yet he was also a part of her life that she wondered if she could discard entirely. What if it puts you in danger? Claire finally asked, her voice barely above a whisper. She had barely scratched the surface of her feelings, yet she could feel them rushing in like a tidal wave. I'm already in danger, Jason said softly, dropping his voice as if the weight of his predicament bore down on him. This isn't just about me, Claire. It's about my life, my future. And if it's tied to me being back here, then that involves you. Claire's heart raced. The gears of her mind churned, weighing the odds. She could simply walk away, shield herself from whatever repercussions lingered in Jason's return. But a larger part of her, the part that wanted to believe in justice, in protecting the people she cared about, began to push against the walls she had built around her heart. Okay, she finally said, her voice stronger. Let us just figure out who's behind this. But we need to be careful. A flicker of relief swept over Jason's face as he nodded. Thank you, Claire. I promise I won't let you down. Their mother, having monitored the whole exchange, shifted nervously. Are you sure about this, Claire? Sounds dangerous. Gripping her mother's hand, Claire felt the warmth of familial bonds pulling her steady. Mom, if there's a chance to help him, I have to try. Lauren stepped closer. A hint of worry etched across her face. Shouldn't we tell someone? The police or no? Jason interrupted sharply, worry creasing his brow. If we go to the police without knowing what we're dealing with, it could complicate everything. We can't make assumptions, we need proof first. Claire exchanged a hesitant glance with her mother, weighing the impulse to protect her family against the pull towards the unknown. So where do we start? She asked, trying to sound more confident than she felt. Jason thought for a moment, glancing around. We should go back to the festival. Maybe we can find those partners. I might remember who they were. Right, Claire agreed, tension coursing through her. They could plunge headfirst into this mess. But she knew they'd need to navigate a maze of hidden threats. A part of her wanted to bolt, to leave the past where it was buried. But the weight of the possibility that Jason was truly innocent tugged at her heels like a shadow as they made their way back. The festival lights continued to flash and weave through the crowd, but for Claire, it felt like everything had shifted. Whatever happens, we'll stick together, she reminded Jason. Although uncertainty lingered in her heart. Together, he echoed, the conviction behind the word gripping both their hands tightly, though neither of them could shake the anxiety blooming between them. The pulsating energy of the festival swirled around them as they set out on this new journey together. But as they approached the heart of the crowd, a scream erupted from the stage, a voice filled with panic. Claire's heart sank. What now? As she turned to Jason for answers, she felt a familiar chill creep up her spine, knowing their evening was far from over. The chaos they had sought to avoid was about to consume them. Stay close, Jason yelled over the chaos. And in that moment, Claire knew this was just the beginning. The scream sliced through the raucous festivities like a jagged blade. The laughter and music that had once filled the air faded into a dull murmur, replaced by an unsettling pulse of panic. The crowd surged, a tide of bodies caught in the wake of fear. Claire's heart raced as she grabbed Jason's arm, instinctively pulling him closer. What do you think happened? She shouted, trying to make herself heard above the chaos. I don't know, he replied, his brow furrowed. But we have to find out. Together they pushed through the mass of people, their determination clashing with the growing unease all around them. The flickering lights of the festival cast eerie shadows on the faces of onlookers, their expressions a mix of confusion and dread. Claire's stomach twisted as she feared the worst. What if this was somehow related to Jason? What if this was the first sign of danger he had warned her about? As they reached the front of the stage, Claire realized the unthinkable had happened. The band had stopped playing, and a woman stood in the spotlight, visibly shaken. Claire recognized her as Maya, a local artist known for her fiery performances. But now her face was pale and her hands trembled. "What's wrong?" Maya gasped, her voice wavering. The crowd fell silent, anticipation hanging in the air like a weight. "There's someone in the crowd," she said, her voice rising in pitch. "I saw them, a man with a mask. He was threatening someone." Gasps erupted from the audience. Claire's heart sank further. A masked figure? It sounded like a scene straight out of a nightmare. "Do you think it's related to what's happening with Jason?" Claire whispered, her voice shaking. "I don't know, but we need to find out," he replied, his eyes scanning the crowd. Each moment felt drawn out, like a film slowing to a crawl, trapping them both in suspense. "Maybe we should tell someone," Claire suggested, her instincts screaming at her to get help. Jason shook his head, urgency laced in his voice. "No time. We need to see if we can find this guy before something worse happens." Her stomach turned at the prospect, but she nodded. With a shared glance, they stepped deeper into the chaos that surrounded the stage. Claire's eyes darted over strange gaudy costumes and erratic faces, searching for any sign of the masked man. The pulsating bass of the festival seemed to blend with the rapid beat of her heart, drowning out her fears. Suddenly, a commotion erupted to their right. A group of people was parting, shouting and pointing. Jason took off in that direction and Claire followed, adrenaline igniting her as they pushed their way through. As they neared the center of the disturbance, Claire saw him, a tall man wearing a dark mask, his presence like a dark cloud ready to unleash a storm. Just as she opened her mouth to call out, the figure turned, locking eyes with her. It was chilling, like she was staring into the abyss. "Run!" Jason shouted, grabbing her hand and pulling her back. They turned, sprinting away from the chaos. "Who was he?" Claire gasped, her breath coming in uneven hitches. "I don't know, but we need to get somewhere safe," Jason urged, urgency crackling in his voice. Just as they rounded a corner behind a food stall, a sharp laugh sliced through the air. Claire stopped dead. That laugh was familiar, eerily so. She turned to Jason, her heart pounding, caught between fear and recognition. "Wait, I know that laugh. It belongs to someone I've known for years," she whispered, dread pooling in her gut. The shadow of the masked man loomed larger as she realized this was about to lead them to something far more complicated than a simple festival incident. What if this was just the beginning of finding out who was behind everything? Claire's mind raced as she strained to identify the source of that laugh. It was like a ghost from her past, haunting her with memories she had long tried to forget. "No, it can't be," she mumbled, her thoughts flickering between disbelief and dread. Jason sensed her hesitation. "What is it?" he asked, concern knitting his brow as he glanced around them like a cautious deer in the woods. "Just let us keep moving," she managed to say, pushing down the tumult of emotions swirling inside her. But that laugh kept echoing in her ears, dragging her deeper into a fog of memories. They ducked behind the food stall, its awning flapping in the wind. The savory scent of fried dough and sizzling sausage wafted toward them, but Claire's stomach churned as the chaos of the festival faded behind them. "Claire," Jason whispered, breaking through her thoughts. "What do we do? Do you think he's still close?" "I don't know," she murmured, biting her lip in frustration. "But if that laugh belongs to who I think it does, we might be in a lot more trouble than we imagined." She took a deep breath, willing herself to stay steady. "It's Michael," she finally said, the name slipping from her mouth like a curse. Michael, the man with whom she had once envisioned a future, the man who had betrayed her and stolen her dreams when he and her sister, Grace, had announced their engagement just as she was planning to tell him about her feelings. Jason leaned in closer, his eyes narrowing. "Why would he be here? And what does that have to do with that masked man?" "I don't know," Claire replied, the familiar sting of betrayal tinging her words. "But if he's involved, there's no telling what he's up to now. We have to find out." They exchanged a determined look, a small flicker igniting between them. The sound of the crowd pulsing with fear behind them seemed less important than the need to confront whatever was coming. Taking a risk, they decided to weave back toward the main path. They peeked around the stall, moving carefully to avoid drawing attention. The electric buzz of the festival was still present, muted under the weight of the earlier fear, but they spotted scattered groups of people, still agitated and searching, some yelling for the authorities. Then, out of the corner of her eye, Claire caught sight of him. There was Michael, flanked by two intimidating figures wearing dark hoodies, whispering in urgent tones. "He's south too close," she whispered, every instinct telling her to run the other way. "What is he doing?" Jason said quietly, his protective instincts flaring. Claire took a step closer, squinting to hear what he was saying. From this distance, it seemed like they were discussing their next move, and the mention of the plan caught her attention. "It could be something serious," she whispered, a wave of anxiety spilling over her like a cold breeze. "We can't just leave without knowing what he's up to." "Are you sure?" Jason's face reflected a mixture of concern and urgency. "We could go find help." "No, we can't." "Not yet," she insisted, her heart pounding in her ears. "I need to know what he's involved in." This could connect everything to Jason's situation. If he's involved with that masked man suddenly, the masked figure re-emerged from the crowd, and Claire felt her breath catch in her throat. Panic threatened to swallow her whole, but before she could think further, Jason's hand gripped her wrist tightly. "Do you see that?" he said, his voice a low urgency. Claire squinted again and it clicked. The masked man was heading towards Michael. Was he aligning himself with her past? If Michael was part of something bigger, what would that mean for her? With a shared look, they both understood. They couldn't back down now. The festival wasn't just a celebration anymore. It was a battleground rife with secrets and lies. What had started as a night of fun was morphing into something far more dangerous as they stepped further into the fray. Ready to confront the past and whatever it held, Claire felt the weight of her choices pressing down. Was she ready for the truth? She took Jason's hand, tightly reinforcing their bond. The shadows danced around them, but one thing was certain. They were about to uncover something more than just broken connections. What if unraveling this web of deceit brought her face to face with the very people she feared the most? A knot of anxiety curled in Claire's stomach as they crept forward, the pulse of the festival thrumming behind them. The sounds of laughter and celebration had faded into a distant memory, overshadowed by the specter of her stolen past. Every step felt heavier, weighted down by her unresolved feelings for Michael and the bitter betrayal that had shattered her world. "What do we do if they see us?" Jason whispered, his grip tightening around her hand. His voice was steady, but Claire could sense the tension in it. Anger, fear, he was feeling all that too. "They can't, we have to be careful." "Just act natural," she instructed, catching sight of Michael once more. The way he stood, confident yet shifty, sent a shiver down her spine. She barely recognized the man who had once promised her the moon. Now he stood with his back to her, the masked figure only inches away, their heads bent conspiratorially. Then it happened. A sudden commotion erupted to their left, a loud crash as someone bumped into a stall, sending a cascade of products tumbling across the pavement. Startled festival goers turned, eyes darting about in confusion. "Go. Now." Jason pulled her back into motion, urgency clear in his voice. They ducked into the crowd, away from Michael's gaze, weaving through bodies as the chaos enveloped them. She could barely think over the noise. Panic surged in her chest, but she steeled herself against it, focusing on what lay ahead. She had to know. She owed it to herself to find out what Michael was plotting, and how it connected to her now. "Where should we go?" Jason called above the crowd's clamor, but Claire's eyes were glued to a nearby alleyway, dimly lit and shadowed. "There." She pointed, and together they darted into the narrow space between two buildings, just as Michael's laughter echoed again, now overtaken by confusion and urgency. In the alley the air was cooler, the din of the festival muffled. They pressed against the grimy wall, listening intently. "What if he's dangerous?" Jason questioned, concern etched across his features. "We shouldn't get too close." "I know," Claire said, exhaling shakily. "But what if he's involved in something serious? If it connects to Jason's situation, the masked man, we can't walk away." Jason nodded, albeit reluctantly. The flickering light of a street lamp illuminated his face, the worry in his eyes a stark contrast to the chaos swirling just beyond the alley. "You don't have to do this alone," he assured her quietly, his voice low but brimming with conviction. "I'm with you." That fragile bond wrapped around her like a warm blanket, pushing back the chill of fear trying to seep in. It gave her strength. They peeked out from their hiding spot, barely daring to breathe. Michael stood in the light, animated now, pointing toward the heart of the festival. The masked figure was nodding along as if understanding something Claire couldn't quite grasp. Do you think they're planning something? Jason whispered, eyes narrowing at the scene. I wouldn't put it past him, Claire replied, her heart racing. He has always had a way of leading people into his schemes without them knowing. We need to figure out what they're up to. Suddenly, the masked man turned his head, scanning the area. Panic surged again, but they were too far to be noticed. Claire's heart hammered in her chest, and she pulled back just in time. I think we should move closer, listen for a bit, she suggested, feeling a surge of determination. Jason hesitated but then nodded, sensing the urgency in her voice. Steeling themselves, they inched forward again, straining to catch snippets of their conversation. Just as they did, Michael's voice rose above the rest. It's time to execute the plan, no turning back now. Those words sent a wave of disbelief crashing over Claire. This was it. She had to confront her past. But what if it meant confronting her sister Grace too? Steeling herself as fear pressed in. She realized this would not only be about unveiling Michael's treachery, but possibly facing the greatest betrayal of all, her sister's. As they moved closer, a reckless thought bubbled to the surface. What if Michael's plan was more than they imagined? What else was tied to her past? For the first time that night, Claire felt a flicker of hope amidst the fear. Maybe the truth would set her free. But as she prepared herself for what lay ahead, a chilling whisper slipped through the alley, a name spoken softly yet cutting through the noise like a blade. Grace. She felt Jason's hand tighten around hers, and for a moment, the rush of their past threatened to drown her. Would she be able to face not just Michael but the sister she'd lost too? As they drew closer to the truth, everything hung in the balance. Would Claire find the resolution she craved, or become ensnared by the very web she sought to unravel? The shadow of fear wrapped around Claire like a heavy cloak as she clutched Jason's hand tighter. The word Grace echoed in her mind, a bell tolling for a reunion she wasn't sure she was ready for. What had become of her sister in the years since their lives had spiraled apart? Did Grace even think of her? Or had she prisoned Claire's memory along with every ounce of affection? What if this isn't just about Michael? She whispered, her breath trembling with unease. Jason's eyes locked onto hers, his expression a mixture of determination and sympathy. Whatever happens, we'll get through it together. Just stay focused, okay? With a nod, Claire forced herself to breathe as they crept further down the alley. Every heartbeat thundered louder than the festival music that danced in the background, a reminder that their world was still alive with laughter and celebration, even as they faced the darkness of their reality. They edged closer to a corner, where the shadows thinned, revealing the outlines of Michael and the masked figure. Claire strained to hear their conversation, which spilled into the night like a sinister melody. How do we ensure no one interferes? Michael asked, his tone sharp. The masked figure replied, voice low and gravelly. We'll create a distraction. No one will suspect a thing. Your sister won't see it coming. A shiver raced down Claire's spine. Was she merely an afterthought in this twisted plot? The pieces of a puzzle she had never wanted to be a part of started to align in an unfathomable way. They're talking about me, she breathed, realization dawning like a storm cloud overhead. Jason released her hand momentarily, leaning closer. What does that mean? Are they targeting you? I don't know. But if Grace is involved... She trailed off, anxiety clawing at her insides. The sense of betrayal she felt from Michael was palpable, but if her sister was entangled in this, it would be the final blow. Just then, a muffled shout from the festival interrupted them, sending Claire and Jason jerking back into the shadows. The chaos brushed against them, a wave of adrenaline pushing them to reconsider their approach. Should we turn back? This is getting risky, Jason suggested, glancing nervously at the alley's entrance. No, we need to hear more. We can't just walk away now. Claire's voice held a tremor of urgency. What if Grace is in real danger? If she's made a choice to stand by Michael? Her heart sank at the thought. I can't let that happen. Rattled yet emboldened by the prospect of finding out the truth, she peered around the corner once more. Michael was animated, gesturing wildly, and the masked figure seemed to nod intently, perhaps planning their next move. And you're sure about the location? Michael pressed, glancing around cautiously, as if sensing their prying eyes. Yes, Tonight at the old warehouse. Everything will go into motion from there. The masked figure responded, a cold finality to his tone. Claire's pulse surged. The warehouse. She knew it, a place that held too many memories. Not just painful ones, but laughter and dreams that once felt tangible. If they were plotting something there, there was no time to waste. Let us go, she said, heart racing with renewed vigor as she pulled Jason along. We have to get to that warehouse before it's too late. As they exchanged glances, she saw Jason's unwavering support. He trusted her, and that was enough. Together they slipped into the crowd, fear and determination mingling in their veins. With every step away from Michael's gathering, a new thought flickered. What if this wasn't just about Michael or Grace? What if this path led to questions about her own worthiness, her choices? As they made their way through the festival, moving against the tide of celebration, a heavy realization sank in. Secrets could only stay buried for so long, and the truth was clawing its way to the surface. Suddenly a figure appeared from the side, colliding into Claire, sending her stumbling back. A moment later, Claire's breath caught as she looked into a pair of familiar but cold eyes, the very eyes of the sister she thought she knew. Grace's voice dropped low, laden with unspoken secrets and memories, sending a chill down Claire's spine. The world around them fell away, leaving only the two sisters, lost, found, and forever changed. What would come next? This was the moment Claire had dreaded, yet craved all at once. The sister she lost was standing right in front of her. Would she embrace Grace, or would she send her away again? With everything on the line, Claire felt the weight of the world shifting. Could she ever forgive what had been stolen from her? With their futures now intertwined, Claire braced for the impending storm, knowing that the next words could change everything. Claire. Grace's voice rang out, and the sound sent a wave of memories crashing over them. Fragments of childhood laughter mingled now with bitter reminders of betrayal. Every fiber of Claire's being screamed to turn away, to close those doors that had been slammed shut so many years ago. But as she looked into Grace's eyes, recognition flickered. The sister she thought she had lost forever stood before her, a stranger masked by old wounds. What are you doing here? Claire's voice trembled with a mix of anger and disbelief, punctuated by the pounding of her heart. She took a step back, instinctively shielding herself from the hurt that had once consumed her. I came back because I saw what was happening, Grace stammered, sincerity pouring from her gaze. I've tried to reach you, but I didn't know how. I've been so ashamed. Shamed? Claire echoed, her voice sharper than she intended, the taste of bitterness rising. You stole everything from me. You left me alone in a wreckage of broken trust. And now, in the middle of this chaos, you decide to show up? Grace flinched, the hurt evident on her face, but there was an echo of grace reaching out in her eyes. I know. And I'm so sorry. But I didn't come here to relive the past. I came to protect the one person I love. Stung. Love? How could Grace still speak of love after everything that had happened? Please just listen. Grace pressed, her voice shaking as she took a tentative step forward, her earnestness contrasting with Claire's hurricane of emotions. Michael has been lying to you. He's involved in things you don't understand, dangerous things. Things that endanger you. Claire faltered. The words settled uneasily, pulling her thoughts in different directions. What do you know about him? I've seen it, Claire. The real Michael beneath the charm that stole your heart. He has always had a dark side. And now he's entangled with someone far worse, Grace admitted breathlessly. And they're coming for you, for us. I need to help you before it's too late. The weight of her words settled heavily between them. Claire felt the threads of anger starting to unravel, exposing an undercurrent of fear. As Jason stood at the edge of their conversation, uncertainty etched on his face, Claire realized she was no longer alone. Wait, Jason needs to hear all this too. If Michael is involved with a mass threat and coming after me, we can't keep things hidden. Her heart raced as she spoke, knowing they all needed to face whatever was looming. Grace glanced at Jason, then back to Claire. I never wanted to hurt you, but if he's plotting something at the warehouse tonight, we have to warn the others. If he's using your name in this mess, we need to get you out of here. I can't run from the truth anymore. Claire replied, the heat of her resolve surging through her. Just then, another wave of shouting erupted from the festival core, steel casting her heart into a whirlpool of dread. Then let us confront him, Grace suggested, determination threading through her voice. We can't let fear dictate our choices. We can stand together. In that moment something shifted. Claire glanced between Grace and Jason, feeling the tiniest flicker of hope pushing against her hesitation. Fine. Let us go to the warehouse together. Nodding firmly, they formed an alliance. 3 broken yet hopeful souls bringing their strength to bear against the storm. Traversing through the festival once more, moving quickly past curious onlookers, they made their way toward the old warehouse, the heart of the brewing chaos. As they approached, the night felt thick with impending confrontation. The shadows danced eerily against the walls, but Claire held on to the newfound courage, fueled by their commitment to each other. Are you ready? Jason asked, glancing at both women, urgency written across his features. With a deep breath, Claire nodded. This is it. No turning back. Stepping inside the warehouse, they were enveloped by a cloak of darkness, the atmosphere pulsing with electricity. Claire steadied herself as they advanced, each creaking floorboard echoing with their trepidation. You think they're already here? Grace whispered, her voice barely audible in the stillness that felt like a prelude to chaos. And just then, a sliver of light broke from deeper within, illuminating the silhouettes of Michael and the masked figure. Claire's heart raced. Michael, she called, her voice echoing through the empty space. In a heartbeat, she felt her resolve shift as Michael turned, a cocky grin on his face that quickly faded into surprise. Claire, what are you doing here? His eyes flickered to Grace, narrowing, that same defensiveness raising a wall already built on deceit. I'm here to confront you, Claire said, drawing strength from the unity of her allies beside her. I know what you're plotting, Michael. And it's time for the truth to come out. His expression hardened, and the masked man inched forward, an air of violent uncertainty swirling. This isn't a game, Claire. You don't know what you're getting into. And you're right about one thing, said Jason, stepping up beside Claire, fierce defiance mingling with his gaze. We know more than you think. With every ounce of courage, Claire took a breath and stepped into the coming storm, knowing the time for revelations had arrived. In unison they would unearth the truth and break the chains of their haunted past. The air hummed with tension as they faced Michael and the threat looming behind him. This confrontation would rewrite their stories or end them altogether. But at that moment, standing together, Claire realized that love, loss, and forgiveness had the power to rise above the ashes of betrayal. And whatever came next, they would face it as one. Hold on tight to your dreams and never ever shy away from the truth. This is the moment to show your support. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.